I want to do like 10 minutes of theory and then we'll jump into a demo. So let's just unmute yourselves and tell me, what is a double bind? A double bind is a classical hypnosis term, and it's not one we use that much in conversational hypnosis, but actually it comes up all the time. So I want to show you now the lenses behind the categories, and then we'll go back to the categories and then we'll practice. So what is a hypothetical or a double bind? And why do we need it?
The more you try to avoid something, the more it seems to show up.
Mm, kind of, not exactly. It's more
Like I was,
technical than that. A double bind, sorry.
like the way I was thinking about it, like if you struggle with sleep, the more you try to fall asleep, the more you stay awake.
Yeah, but that's not it. That is true, but that's not what a hypothetical is or a double bind. A double bind is really like a classical hypnosis technique, which comes down to, you'll hear them a lot now that I am explaining it. Go back and listen to the demos where I say something like, well, yeah, it is hard to quit. And it's also hard to be fat. It's also hard to be overweight. Which one do you like least? Which one is less desirable to you?
Hard to be
And then they're,
fat.
pardon?
It's hard to be fat.
Yeah, I mean, and I hope that wasn't the wrong term. I'm not trying to be
No, it doesn't
politically
matter. No,
incorrect.
there's politically correct kind of goes out the window with this stuff.
Okay, good. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
and so that's what I'm asking people is like, well, yeah, I realize that what you're saying is hard. Quitting is hard. Quitting smoking is hard. Quitting, sex addiction is hard, but also having it is hard. So which hard do you think is going to work better for you in this part of your life? That's a double bind. And I'm not saying you can just present that to anyone and it's going to work. I'm just saying that's a very large example of what it is. It's like door number one and door number two, but there is no door number three. So which is it? Often the clients are kind of like circling around the doors like there's going to be more. There isn't. Life's not like that. Either you're pregnant or you're not pregnant. That's the truth. Like my dad used to say that. There's no in between on some things. So that's what we're doing with the hypotheticals, and they work very well when the clients present you with conflicting desires. So this is part of level two is like, okay, so now I got to think about presenting the clients with questions that actually challenge these messy, confused beliefs that they have. So moving from confusion to clarity. Remember, that's the category, one of the categories. What's a collapsing reality? Or what is collapsing reality?
When the reality they've created isn't actually accurate and they see that.
Yeah, a little bit more. Say a little more.
Like they come to the conclusion that eating a box of cookies a day is like insanity.
Yeah, so it's kind, you're right, you're onto it. I'll just flesh it out a little bit more.
Hmm.
It's when they have two conflicting beliefs in their head that collapse when put together or clash when putting together. We could call it clashing realities too. So in that case, the realities would be, I really love my box of cookies and it gives me a lot of comfort. And also, this is giving me diabetes and making me feel sick. And my kids are watching and it's embarrassing. Those two beliefs, when you put them side to side, create this clash that the client has to deal with. When they're rationalizing it at home alone, they're not looking at it from that perspective. That's what the session is about. See, they could have done that on their own, but their mind is keeping them from that. So, clashing reality is a very important background thought to be having about what two things does this person believe that just don't agree with each other. And by the way, Gilles, that's where logic does matter quite a bit because you keep saying, well, we're gonna, discard our logic. I'm not, because my critical mind knows when things are nonsense, when things are bullshit. So I have to call that out. That's part of the job.
So would you use that when people are using yes buts? Like
Yeah.
I'm trying to think when you would use this. So you're not necessarily using that when they're going towards motivation. It's more when they're highlighting a problem. Is that what I'm understanding? Like I'm
Good
trying to
question.
find timing in my head.
That's a very good question. By the way, I remade this poster with red on the left and green on the right because now it makes a lot more sense. Not this, this. Okay, so not the red side, the green side. So the question you just asked is when would somebody present us with something where there's a clashing reality? Well, let's look at this. If they say to you, where is this one? This category. I believe that, I'm never going to be able to stop eating this ice cream in the evening because nothing else gives me comfort. Well, what category is that? I already highlighted it, so it's obvious.
Hmm.
It's a belief they
Belief
have.
in
That's
food.
bullshit. That's not true. It's just the belief you have. Well, what's the converse of that belief? I could be comforted by meditation. I could be comforted by calling a friend. I masturbate. I could do yoga. I could take a nap. I could make
Walk in
a
the woods.
apple with peanut butter and not eat sugar. What did you say, Jody?
Walk in the woods.
Yeah, so many things. But the
Hmm.
thing is, they're stuck in this belief over here. But the clashing reality is that's nonsense, and you haven't actually given a correct answer. So on the opposite side of that are facts. Like, are you really getting comforted by your 5,000 calorie processed sugar? Like, come on. I'm not stupid. I wasn't born yesterday. Like, come on, tell me the truth. So I'm going to press them on these facts by raising that clashing reality, which is that's not true. You see how they're holding two beliefs in their head that conflict. So it's any time that somebody presents you something on this side of the map. That's different, by the way, while we're talking about categories, than if they say something like, and it really bothered me that that guy cut me off yesterday. Like, okay, but that has nothing to do with the problem and why we're here. Maybe it has to do with your dysregulation, but it's irrelevant. So now I'm going back to something like, well, let's get back to the problem. You see how that's a very different maneuver than, well, that was a bullshit belief you just claimed. Let me clarify it.
Mm.
That's how this chart becomes interesting. Because it's like, well, what did the client just say? What's the next move based on that? Some of them are just like fixing, like moving back on track. Some of them are being like, are you fucking kidding me? What the hell are you talking about? But not like that in that language. Did that answer it? That makes
I
sense.
actually
Yeah,
said
thank you.
that to my client last night.
What?
Are you fucking kidding me?
Exactly. That's why I say stuff like that. Like, are you fucking serious? What are you talking about? That's not
Mhm.
true. Like,
And she's also a dear friend, but
and
it was
sometimes you
like,
say, like, okay, so just explain that to me. That's Columbo approach. Like, what? How did that work? How does that work exactly? You're gonna have to explain that one to me.
mhm.
Well, then they're on the spot. Go ahead and explain it. And like people are not dumb. They know when they're justifying in their head, they can feel that. So they can try as much as they want. You can give them as much free rein as they want on that. Okay. Lapsing reality. Unconscious payoff. You guys remember that one? We went over it yesterday. What's the payoff?
The ripples. What's
Yeah.
the extras? Like the session I did with the demo I did with Sierra in level one. I
Mhm.
have not had a single chocolate bar from the
Wow.
dollar store. I haven't bought a single chocolate bar from the dollar store
Yep.
since then.
But tell me, what is the relationship to unconscious payoff?
Because it's like the ripples. It's like you drop the pebble and all these other things are happening that you're not even aware are happening because you did this piece of work here.
But that's not the unconscious payoff. That's the result.
Mm.
Okay.
So that's good that is true. We do want that, and I do want you to get those results. But payoff is actually still attached to the problem. When the client has an unconscious payoff, they're benefiting some way. And
Mhm.
not when. Every client has an unconscious payoff. That's why they're in hypnosis. That's why they have problems to begin with.
Well, it's like, the unconscious mind is always trying to keep us small.
Yeah.
So the payoff is what we were saying yesterday. It's like that specialness or that preciousness that somebody has. Like you gave
As
the
if,
example of your client who couldn't take the metro or something or the train. So, I'm having my birthday party next week. But it's on the metro line, I can't travel on the metro line, so therefore I can't go to your party, you know.
and then take it one step further, Royson. And what do they get out of that excuse? Now the person, that
It
woman,
makes them special, there's a satisfaction in it. It
but
justifies.
also they're creating their own version of safety. They're creating their own version of like what they can, So the payoff for them is, and I feel safe and I feel better because I'm home.
Mm.
But then on the clashing reality side, Jill, here's the clashing reality is the woman is sitting in front of me saying, I have no life anymore. I feel trapped at home. So on the one hand, she gets the payoff of feeling safe because of a problem that started years ago because of some root cause. But on the clashing reality side, she's starting to notice that she's isolated and depressed. You see how it's not that complicated, actually? I mean, that one, for example, some of them are very complicated. It's funny when I was thinking about it last night, after the session, I opened my fridge and I was like, why is there so much food in my fridge? Like my fridge is full to the brim, like it's Christmas right now. I mean, it's very fun for me. I love food and I love, I love to eat, so it's not a big deal. But I was like, what's going on here? And then I was like, you know what? Because I was teaching this weekend, I like stocked up so that I would, because I usually go to the store on Saturday and then I usually go to the market on Sunday. So this is like normally my food time and my life prep time. But I knew, so I prepared, right? So that I'd have dinner already ready. And I'm so smart. But then I was like, there's 3 times more or 6 times more, potentially than I need. Why am I telling you this? Because that's how we treat the sessions. It's like that lady's thing was actually pretty resolvable. I could have just ordered Uber Eats. That would have been the equivalent. But instead, we go into these sessions thinking we need like 6 days worth of provisions, but we don't. Like we're overly concerned with what's going to happen and what we need to bring. So it can really just come down to what's the payoff? How did you get this problem? Does the problem still exist? No. So then why do you still hold on to the payoff? 9 times out of 10, that's the clashing reality that solves the problem. That's why these concepts are so important to keep in mind at the forefront of what motivates your questions. Did my crazy fridge story help you? We need less. Less is more. Less prep, less intervention.
Can you say that what you just said about that this I missed it.
I just say? Well, what I said is that we're overly prepared, like my fridge is overly prepared, which is not a bad thing, but it's not necessary when we come to the sessions. And what I'm saying is the collapsing reality is the fastest way to break the client out of why are they holding on to an unconscious payoff that began as a root cause historically, right? Like the root cause is what started the problem. Maybe it evolved over years. That's possible. That would be an evolution of that root cause. But then comes the present day, and it's like, but why are you still doing that behavior? Because there's a payoff. What's the payoff? And does it have anything to do with the root cause? No. 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. Once in a while, they're still afraid of the thing that originally happened. So then we have to think around that. But most of the time, it's like, well, that doesn't happen anymore. My parents aren't beating me anymore. My uncle stopped raping me 20 years ago. Okay, but then you're still getting something out of that behavior now. So that's what we're asking people is this payoff functional? If it's not functional, what is it clashing with in your life? Now we're going again from belief to fact. That's going back to the categories.
A lot of time it's familiarity,
Yeah.
which gives the comfort.
Like 99% of it. But that has subtleties in it, right, Royson? It's like different versions of comfort, different versions of self-soothing, different ways the person got into that. So you're right, that's a global problem, but also each person is specific in their way of undoing it.
Of undoing it.
Yes, and of doing it, of creating it and uncreating it.
Hmm.
And actually, that's the magic of this whole process is everyone undoes it their own way and in a pretty simple way if you give them an opportunity for that.
So could an unconscious payoff with a smoker, for example, be like my partner no longer smokes in the home, but I seem to miss our connection, and that was when we smoked.
Exactly. That's right. And then what would be the question and what would be the category?
Oh, the categories from before. Yeah, that's the belief.
Yeah, it's a
The
belief they
belief
have that
theory.
connection has something to, and also it's past results. I've only connected with this person when we're high or when we're smoking. I have had
Yeah.
that in sessions where people are like, but if I stop cannabis, we won't have any sex anymore. And it's like, but that's just based on your past beliefs. How old are you now? Like, okay, we all had sex on drugs for like our youth, but you're married with a child now. So what's the
Mhm.
difference? Like, what are you going to stop having sex with your wife because, well, you're aging? I mean, people have these weird ideas like the way it's always been is the way it's always going to have to be. Like, that's just not true. It's just not how life is. People grow, people change, people find other things exciting and attractive as they evolve. So you have to ask them that. They just haven't thought of it. So that's a perfect example. And what would you what would you want that person to answer you? Like what kind of question motivation wise are you going to ask them? It's a little hard to say because we don't have them in front of us, but we want to motivate them into what is the connection you're actually looking for?
Mhm.
Do you want all your connections to be drug induced with your wife? Tell me more.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead, justify that to me. That's the clashing reality that will break them out of that payoff. And do you see how what it does is just open up to choice?
Yeah.
Oh, we could do this instead. Oh, this is possible.
Or it's like the ones that say it's the only way I relax or connect or whatever it may be.
Right. And then you say, so what do you say to them then? Oh, but that's the only way I know how to relax. I
Yeah.
need to smoke.
A
Then
lot
what
of
do
times
you
I'll say it's interesting that you're using a stimulant to relax, but
say that again? I didn't hear it.
I always say it's interesting that you're using a stimulant to relax.
That's a good one. But even that has judgment in it. I wouldn't use that. I wouldn't judge them like that. I would say to them in my most casual, hilarious Maya brand way, I would be like, so how's that working out for you? You just put them back, put it back to them. Like, okay, right. So
Mhm.
you paid me 2 grand to tell me that that's really enjoyable. Like, I'm not stupid. Like, go ahead, try that on me. I could sit here all day.
Mhm.
And that's why you need time, by the way, because that's how I feel when people try me on that. I'm like, I got hours for you. Go ahead, try to talk me into that. I mean, like, we're just gonna end up where? Where are we gonna end up if we circle that drain for too long?
Rome,
Where?
Rome, all
Home,
roads lead to
exactly,
Rome.
home, which is what? Which will be what ultimately? Facts. It'll end up in some kind of fact-related conversation where we're like, well, is everyone else doing that? How do you think that they're managing without that? Like, we're gonna get down to the brass tacks, which is, well, you chose that. Are you gonna keep choosing it? If you are, why are you complaining? See, that's the thing. Transformation is not that complicated in the end. Do you want it? Don't you want it? Give it to me.
Mhm.
Isn't it true that you've done sessions? At least this is true for me, and maybe it's because I do so many sessions and I trade, I practice with people. But like I've had people correct problems for me that I have kept the problem or it's diminished, but now I'm aware that I'm doing that. That's very different than, oh, I'm just a victim to this addiction. Oh, I'm just a victim to this choice. Because now I have self-awareness that if I wanted to change it, it's right there in front of me, but I'm choosing not to. That's a very different self-possession.
Hmm.
I forget why we're on that. Let's keep going. Let's get to a demo. Let's see. You guys know what root cause is? Do we ever know the root cause? Let me ask you that. Do you ever know the root cause why a person has a problem?
Maybe.
Like, let's say they, don't like men and they were raped when they were a child. Does that mean that the one thing was causing the next?
No, that's a conclusion.
Exactly. It stands to reason. I mean, obviously, we're not going to like just say nothing is connected because that would be ridiculous. But we don't really ever know. Moreover, root causes are accelerated as life continues and aggrandized, right? They get worse and worse. So it could be the rape that started it, but then it could have been like the cashier at the store when they were 18 telling her she looked like a slut or whatever. It could be anything. So I don't ever really know. All I know is the regressions they give me. All I know is the scenes they give me. Is it the conclusion? It doesn't matter as long as it's enough to bring out some self-awareness. So unconscious payoff is super much more interesting and important to me because I can work with that. This will always be a guess. And this is also what sets us apart from traditional therapy because people have written thousands of pages of literature and books about what caused this person's problem as though it's real. That's so stupid. I'm so not into that. I can't even tell you how ridiculous I find that. Like what? Because you have a degree, you somehow saw into this person's soul and know why they ended up with a problem? Like, come on. That's nonsense, in my opinion. I'm not saying other people don't work that way, they do, but I don't agree with it. So, because I can't figure this out, because all I can do is work with this and this and this, I have to do this attitude. Because I am not a detective. All I can do is investigate. Well, I am a detective, but I'm not one who's going to come up with a report at the end with an answer. So I have to have this lightheartedness. I have to have this like laissez-faire, let's see what you come up with, because we're not going to get down to an actual case study explanation at the end of this. And I don't care about that. All I care about is let's float through it and drift through it until it breaks. That's it. However we get there, whatever mess is created in the meantime, I just don't pay any attention to that whatsoever. There's going to be a pile of blood on the floor and a very embarrassing set of energies or whatever. That's fine. I'm just going to sage out my room after and clean it up and we'll move right along. And no one will talk about it ever again. That's how I see it. No holds barred, get it done. Gloves are off. Ask whatever I need to, follow the client. So this is the process now, is we're combining the untying of knots with well, when you break this reality, what will happen then? Who will you become? So it's a combination of, I don't know how to break this, and what I really want is over here. When we put those two things together, the client gets perspective. That's how every conversation, natural or therapeutic, becomes motivational and healing. Okay, so one more slide, then we're going to do a demo. This is what I want you to do for your communication menu moving forward. When you hear motivation, question it, cycle it through, increase it, keep going around until you exhaust that motivation, because what you're doing there is generating fuel to clear whatever needs to be cleared so that you can get to the next knot. Right? So everything we're doing is like tunneling, reach a spot where there's debris, just like the leaves in your gutters. Oh, here's some debris. Oh, this person doesn't know what they want right now. Either I motivate them or I clear the knot. Those are my two options, or I ETM them. When you hear the knot, untie it, unblock it so that you can use motivation again when it comes up. Same thing on the strategy call. We're motivating in cycles and uncovering blocks. I'm going to talk more about this tomorrow. So the therapeutic purpose here is to combine each response with a move forward. Either it's analyzing the response and adding a ratifier, or it's untying a knot. It's one or the other. untie knots, motivate, or ETM. This is what we're going to do in the demo. When you hear the knot, untie it. When you hear motivation, increase it. Combine both. This is why I said we got to go slower and why we only did one demo yesterday, because you got to go slower now and analyze what you hear each time. You got to listen to what is said each time so that you know, do I spike this moment or do I untie something? Or do I investigate the ETM? Okay, questions? Is everybody clear on this chart? It took me years actually to even understand what the hell this was about. So that's why I'm bringing it up again, because I don't think it's that obvious. Why are we adding these thinking frames? Yeah.
I've sat in and done Scott's this for I don't know how many times now.
Me too.
And this is the first time I actually got this.
I
I was
know.
like, what? I didn't even know what it was, really.
It's fine.
Now it's like, oh my God.
I know. I've had that same experience. I mean,
I'm not knocking them. It just didn't
I
land
know
the same.
I feel the same, and I mean, I just want to say like out loud. Obviously, I'm a licensed trainer from Scott. It's not like I'm delusional about our relationship. So I have also wondered that. I think the focus of his level too is the casualness and the conversationalness of it. But it's taken me a while to understand these frames are supposed to make it easier for that casualness so that you're not just like, where am I? You know, like the idea is, oh, I have a landmark. This is where I am. So now I know this small neighborhood that I could investigate. And I know that this neighborhood and this neighborhood tend to be the kinds of clients that I get. So this is meant to give us like a map, basically, so that we're
Mhm.
not just freestyling the whole 2 hours all the time. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's an instinct. This all falls away. At the end of the day, it's really all of these frames are not important. But
But
if you
this is foundational.
exactly, that's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say. If you don't know them, then also it's like, well, what am I going to tell people? Just use your instincts and go do it. Like that's not really a course and that's not really helpful. So looking behind the hypnosis at like what's the frame of it is important so that you can go faster is really the answer. But at the end of the day, all the principles are irrelevant because every question is going to come from a deep part of you that you don't even know where it is.
Mhm.
That's why yesterday's demo was very tough for me actually, because it's formulaic the way I was doing it, like reading and sticking with the categories, but that's not really how I do my sessions. So the truth is, I can't fake the categories very well, but I'm doing it for the purposes of slowing down this whole operation so you can see it better. So let's just do an example. When is a client in stuck thinking? Like, give an example of stuck thinking.
Mm.
A client you've had recently. Craig is working with addiction. So, Craig, people in addiction have tons of stuck thinking. What is it? Just an example.
I don't
Yeah, like you have it too. Things like, I can't be an entrepreneur because I've always worked for other people. That's just a stuck thought. The thinking thought
know.
would be like, maybe entrepreneurship would be fun. I'm not sure I want to, but I could think about it. Or
Mhm.
stuck thinking is, I've always lived with my parents, even though I want to live on my own, but I don't know how.
Mm.
I was just stuck thinking is like, well, have you
Mhm.
thought about living on your own? Have you thought about roommates? Have you thought about a co-op? Have you thought about, saving up? What are you thinking about that? It doesn't mean the person is going to be like, you're right, I should move. But they might start thinking like, oh, yeah, here are some options I haven't considered. That's all
Mm.
we want is
Yeah.
the choice to open. So from that thing of like, nope, that's not who I am. I've never been that person. I don't know. To, okay, let's look over what's possible. Conscious to
Mm.
unconscious, obviously we know that. Probably, I didn't make this chart originally, but probably this should be at the very top here because that's what dictates both charts. So conscious is all these things, and unconscious is all these things. But unconscious and conscious, you know the difference. Discouraged, motivated. That was easy. We had that yesterday with Jody.
Mhm.
I don't know. I can't do all the pieces of social media. I feel discouraged. There's too many things. Motivated. Oh, my daughter could do it, and it would be so fun to show her how and give her a purpose. Right. On the one hand, too hard, can't do it. On the other hand, oh, here's an option I didn't think about. Irrelevant. Oh, this person, crashed into my car yesterday while I was trying to pay you, and that's why I didn't pay you. Okay, but so why are we talking about that? Come back to the problem. Belief in theory, we just did that. This is probably the most popular, I'd say, I mean,
Mhm.
aside from conscious and unconscious. Or confusion and clarity is pretty popular too. All the time we have people saying, but I love my cookies, but I want to be skinny. But this is just confusion. Same as belief in theory. Judgment and acceptance. Yes, I would like to go to the gym, but I look like shit in my gym clothes. I haven't bought new gym clothes in 5 years and I don't even know where they are. I can't go to the store. Judgment is a very popular one for like sex problems, I've found. Like,
Mhm.
but if I put on lingerie, he'll see the rules, or I don't want the lights on, or, we've never done that before. Those are all judgments of like, well, I'm not pretty enough. I'm not sexy enough. I can't. Acceptance is like, well, what if you go to the lingerie store and they find you something you're comfortable with? How would you feel about that? Oh, but I can't go to the lingerie store because I've never done that before. Okay, well, could you drive to the next town over and find one there? Oh, yeah, I never thought about that. Okay, well, could you talk to the lady there and tell her what you're looking for? Yeah, I could do that. Okay, well, even if you don't buy it, would that be interesting to you? Kind of. Okay. I just had that one recently of a lady who wanted to spice up her relationship and her sex life with her beloved husband, but they have like a very poor sexual connection. So she's just judging herself the whole way through. I'm not that kind of girl. I'm not the sexy kind. Okay, fine. Well, do you want to be? All right, so what are we going to do about that? That's judgment to acceptance. And past
Mhm.
results to open to choice is easy because that's what everybody brings. I've always been this way. I don't know how to get out of being this way. So these are all very easy to hear. And the whole idea is when you hear it, do the opposite, go the opposite way. It's just supposed to help you to train your instinct and like, where would I take this?